voice audible? Good afternoon, everyone. I am Hadiyatulloh, the secretary of this meeting. All right, we are about to start the meeting soon. Everyone in this room, please follow this meeting intentionally and be ready and please pay attention. But before that, let me mention the role of this meeting before we start. The first one, all meeting participants are required to come on time, and if they come late, they must pay double cost for 1 week. The maximum delay is 5 minutes. The second, the meeting is open and closed by prayer. The third, if unable to attend, sick or absent, please confirm with the secretary and group at least 30 minutes before the meeting starts. The fourth, meetings must be careful, effective, conducive, responsive, and professional. And the fifth, if up to 60 minutes after the agreed meeting time, the meeting has not been implemented, the meeting is considered cancelled. Sixth, the meeting is adjourned when the call to prayer is heard. And the seventh, the meeting should have ended with an agreement. All right, I will leave the implementation of this meeting to the Mr. Chairman, Mr. Maulana. Mr. Maulana, please.
Thank you for recognition, Mr. Hadiyatulloh. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are always in the good condition. I'm M.Rizqi Maulana as chairman and also the moderator for today's meeting. And firstly, I'd like to thank all of you for attending this meeting and apologize because for teachers in high school through lesson studies based on cases in the city of Tasikmalaya. And for the explaining this program will be conveyed by Mrs. Salsabila as the head of planning and also implementation of the program. Mrs. Salsabila, time is yours.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fajar. Can anyone share the screen? All right. First of all, I would like to say thanks to everyone who can attend this meeting. In this occasion, I would like to explain about our MGMP program in 2021. The title is Improving the Competence of English Teachers in Senior High School through Lesson Study Case in Tasikmalaya City. Next slide, please. To improve the quality of national education, the government, especially through the Ministry of National Education, continues to make various changes and improvements to the education system. And one of them is the role of the teacher through lesson study activities, which are a study of the implementation of learning carried out by the teachers. This activity is expected to be utilized as much as possible in the MGMP as an effort to find the learning process that is considered the most effective and to improve the quality of the learning process, which has an impact both directly and then indirectly on improving student learning outcomes. And Alhamdulillah, we got approval from the Education Office of Tasikmalaya City to use those funds in the implementation of this lesson study activity. Next slide, please. A lesson study activity is divided into 3 parts, namely plan, do, and see. First, plan stage. In this stage, we will make a group of teachers that can plan learning or make lesson plans for class 10, which refers to the current curriculum. Why we choose the class 10? Because the reason for choosing class 10 is to be able to improve the quality of learning as early as possible at the high school level. Because I think it is important to choose the class 10 to make the quality of learning in senior high school much better in the early stage. And then first, the stage of doing. One teacher carries out learning based on the plan made while the other make observations. The stage is planned to be carried out at SMIMP Tasikmalaya Class 10, which is carried out 51 times with the arrival of the local school principal. And then the next is the stage of seeing. The teacher who teaches together with the observer reflects on the observed learning, such as the strengths and then the weaknesses of the presenting teacher, so that conclusions can be drawn as a joint product for all teachers in Tasikmalaya City to be implemented in the classroom, especially for English teachers in senior high school. The teachers who involve this activity will receive a certificate signed by the head of education office, Tasikmalaya City. And furthermore, organizational development at each stage should be conveyed by the head of the organizational development field, but Mr. Fajar, he was unable to attend today's meeting because he had to attend an official event outside the city. So here are the organizational structure. There are chairman, secretary, TSers, head of planning and implementation, and then of um, head of organizational development field and members and public relation. First, a chairman, we choose Mr. Maulana, whose duties are to lead, coordinate, and control this MGMP organization, and then determine the main points of policy for the organization of the MGMP organization, and he is responsible for the successful implementation of the work program of MGMP organization. And then the secretary is Mr. Hadiyatulloh. Uh, uh, his job is to make permits and assist the chairman in carrying out administrative activities of the organization, as well as prepare reports and then the letters that must be issued in accordance with the work program carried out, and coordinate in organizing management meetings. And then treasurer, Ms. Azzahra. Her job is to make the MGMP revenue and expenditure budget program, and she is responsible for managing finances, both income and expenditure required, because we use boss funds, so we have to make the managing finances, and then making proof of each income and expenditure, submitting financial reports on a regular basis. And then head of planning and implementation, which is me, has the task of planning the MGMP work program, and then compiling activity proposals, analyzing and evaluating the implementation of the MGMP work program, and following up on the implementation of programs that have been implemented. And then head of organizational development, Mr. Fajar, his job is to report all activities at management meetings, and then creation and management of the official MGMP blog, and writing and publishing of MGMP journals, because we have to publish our result in this MGMP work to journals or blog. And then public relation, which is Mr. Adhari, whose duties are to ask for a place permit from the principal of SMIMP Tasikmalaya. Mr. Adhari can do the collaboration with secretary, and then plan and collaborate with other organizations relevant to the activities that have been programmed by the MGMP, then coordinate with internal and external MGMP management, carry out program publications and activity results, and distribute to MGMP members. And then the last is prepare and compile reports on activity and results. And then members, we choose Ms. Novianti, Ms. Nurfajriyah, and Ms. Azhar, whose duties are to support and carry out all activities that have been programmed by the MGMP, and then utilize the results of MGMP activities and use them to support learning activities in the respective schools, and then play an active role in every activity, both routine and incidental. Next slide, please. The program has to be implemented in the form of lesson study, will be led by first In the stage of plan, the coordinator is Miss Novianti, and then the stage of doing, the coordinator is Miss Azhar, and the stage of seeing, the coordinator is Miss Nurfajriyah. We, as the head of the organizational development field, together with the head of planning implementation sector, will always supervise the activity to be carried out and report each of these activities to the management and all members. Back to Mr. Maulana. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Sabila, for explaining about the program. And we are going to move to the next session, discussion session. If you have any question or even a suggestion, you can raise your hand first. Okay, please.
Excuse me, may I say something? I think we should choose a narrative text for the material because it's such an interesting topic. We can choose unique stories such as fables, fairy tales, legends, and others to be taught to students. Then, from that narrative text, we can practice their understanding of the story by asking them several questions, and also we can teach the grammar contained in it. And even we can highlighting the new vocabulary for them. I think that's all for my suggestion. Thank you.
Excuse me. I also have suggestion. What if we apply the learning activities in the form of games? For example, in a vocabulary game, students are divided into several groups. Then we ask the teacher write a word. Then one of student from each group comes forward to write the answer. The group with the highest points will be the winner, and there is a mini prize for them. So besides students being able to gain knowledge like developing their vocabulary, this kind of activity is also quite effective, to make learning activities more fun. Then we can absolutely say goodbye to the sleepy atmosphere.
All right. Thank you to Ms. Nurfajriyah and Ms. Novianti. You can define the material you want to do and emphasize which aspects of the language or new methods you want to apply in the material in this activity. As I said before, the most important thing is that it fits with the current curriculum. For any progress, we will continue to coordinate. Thank you.
Okay, thank Mrs. Sabila for responding the suggestion. Anyone else? Mrs. Azzahra, please.
Thank you, Mr. Maulana. Yeah, Ms. Sabila, may I ask you to convince me what I can get from your explanation? That means there will be a follow-up workshop, right? If so, does that mean we have to make an activity plan and budget? Which is, yeah, of course, the budget is from school operational assistance. That's right, Ms. Sabila?
Yes, exactly what you said. After this lesson study activity, of course, we get results that can improve the quality of education that can be applied by English teachers at senior high schools in Tasikmalaya City. Therefore, we will hold a workshop attended by these English teachers in Tasikmalaya City. And of course, we have to make an activity plan and budget because we use was funds to do these activities. So we have to make activity plan and budget really careful and then transparent. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for explanation, Ms. Sabila. And I will ask you for a budget plan report later.
Okay, anyone else?
Sorry for interrupting you, Miss Azzahra. I want to ask you, will the school operational assistant really be sufficient? Wasn't the fund already depleted in accordance with the last one's financial report?
Yeah, therefore, I request a budget plan report for the activities we are planning. Inshallah, the funds will be sufficient.
How come the school operational assistant fund is running low? Perhaps there is manipulation of data?
If you don't believe me, you may replace this position with you, Miss Azhar.
Okay, be quiet, please, everyone. We will discuss about it after this meeting over. So you can explain or show the financial statement, including the cash detail and the others after this meeting. We should go back to the main topic, okay? Mr. Hadiyatullah, what's wrong? Do you want to say something?
Excuse me, may I ask all section? Are you having trouble in order to execute your program? Thank you.
Okay, I'll go first. Well, I can say it will be a tough job, but I don't have any problem, at least for now. And if I do have problem, I will ask about it directly. Thank you.
Yeah, just like Miss Novianti, I can see. I can find there is a problem in C stage because we haven't reached it yet. Maybe problems always exist in every process, but I will minimize it with careful planning.
Yeah, me too. Just like the other coordinator, I can't tell if there will be a trouble or not because the program is still a plan and not being executed yet.
Okay, Mr. Hadiyatullah, do you still have any something that to be conveyed?
Let me ask the public relation. Do you need any help in order to permits and its administration? And what about the progress of public relation?
All right. Thanks for the opportunities from and public relation needs some help. The first is an official permit letter to SMIN 3 Tasikmalaya as a place for lesson study. Even though Mrs. Salsabila had verbally compared it to the principal of SMIN 3 Tasikmalaya, a direct letter from the MGMP is still needed. And the second one is related to the formation of the survey team. This is useful for surveying and ensuring that SMIN 3 Tasikmalaya is a place for license study. And then the last one is related to funding for the transportation of the survey team, whether in the form of vehicles or consumption. Maybe that's enough from the public relation. Please understand. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your explanation, Mr. Sanjaya. I will prepare it and give feedback to you as soon as possible. Back to Mr. Maulana.
Okay, thank you. I think enough for today's meeting. And could you elaborate the conclusion of this meeting, please?
All right, thank you, Mr. Maulana. And for the conclusion, from this meeting, we can conclude that the first, the organization is divided into 6 sections and 3 members. The second, lesson study is divided into 3 parts. Plan, coordinated by Mrs. Novianti. Do, coordinated by Mrs. Azhar. And C, coordinated by Mrs. Nurfajriyah. The third, the draft budget will be handled transparently and based on trust. Fourth, there will be a workshop attended by English teacher. And the fifth, games will be the main topic in learning. Sixth, narrative text will be the highlight of the material. We sure that is an interesting topic. And the seventh, public relation needs some help. And the secretary will be the one to help. Thank you. Back to Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hadiyatullah. And yeah, I think enough for today's meeting. Thank you for your attendance in this meeting, and I hope our meeting can be the first step for us to increase and also improve our educational quality, especially in Tasikmalaya. Let us close our meeting by reciting Alhamdulillah together. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. I'm Muhammad. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.